Now, when you tune into my show every night, in growing numbers for which I'm very grateful, you must get very confused about what my gender is. Do you wonder that? Oh, what is his gender? Maybe you wonder about what colour my skin is. Perhaps you'd like a description of my hair. Maybe I should do an introduction to my programme a bit like this one. Take a look.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Gadilla. I'm a Caucasian woman with long blonde hair, and I go by she, her. I'm a product marketing lead here at Microsoft and co-host of the podcast Security Unlocked with this guy.
Yes, that would be me. Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Fillingham. I'm a Caucasian man with glasses and a beard. I go by he, him, and I'm a security evangelist here at Microsoft.
Now, I don't wish to be pedantic, but I don't think they've actually introduced themselves with enough accuracy. Notwithstanding their gender pronouns and hairstyles, it's pretty clear that what they really identify as is a pair of numpties. Now, I'm not going to give you my pronouns because the crown jewels attached to my body, I've always said less is more, define my biological sex. And I couldn't even begin to tell you about my hairstyle. How the hell do you describe this? And as for the Caucasian stuff, what's that all about? Is it showing off or an apology? I'm not defined by the colour of my skin, but to paraphrase the great civil rights campaigner Martin Luther King, I am set up by and defined by the content of my character. I hope never to define or judge myself by the pigmentation of my dermis, and I will never judge or define anybody else by theirs. We're all human beings, a fact that ought to unite us, not divide. Unsurprising, and I've pointed this out in the past, that much of this woke garbage comes from the corporate world. In the case of that dystopian video from hell, the sprawling monolithic tech giant Microsoft. But public institutions, universities and large companies are riven with this toxic and divisive nonsense. And I'm afraid to say that much of it seems to originate from America, once the land of the free. I genuinely fear for the future of that great nation. Britain is not lost, not yet. But this kind of batshit crazy madness must be laughed at, yes, but resisted too. We reported a couple of months ago that civil servants in Scotland are being urged, brackets pressurised, to include their pronouns in emails. Now, that doesn't make you a nice person, inclusive or caring. Most decent people agree that transphobia is as evil and wrong as racism and homophobia. But the pronoun police are not pushing tolerance and inclusivity. They're pushing something called gender ideology, which rejects the idea that there are two biological sexes. How inconvenient, therefore, that one of Britain's most respected experts in reproductive medicine, Professor Robert Winston, said this on the BBC's Question Time just a few weeks ago.
I will say this categorically, that you cannot change your sex. Your sex actually is there in every single cell in the body. You have a chromosomal sex, you have genetic sex, you have hormonal sex, you have all sorts of different kinds of psychological, brain sex, they're all different. Well, unfortunately, you can't say this publicly. This is one of the big problems. Even saying this on this programme undoubtedly will result in my getting a huge amount of hate mail. It always does. Overall, I think it's a very sad thing that we can't discuss biological science without actually getting completely caught up emotionally with something which is really completely wrong.
Well, a very sad thing indeed. Those who seek to state biological fact, like the academic Kathleen Stock, are verbally attacked, physically threatened and ultimately cancelled. This poor woman in particular, a talented and respected lecturer, is now jobless, having been thrown under the bus by her own union, whose job it was to protect her. All of this for stating basic biological facts, which are literally taught at school in GCSE and A-level biology. Correctly stating biological information is bizarrely referred to as being gender critical. It's not gender critical to point out that there are two biological sexes. It's gender factual. And the other aspect of this nonsense is that it's all completely navel-gazing. Haven't these keyboard warriors got anything better to worry about? The militant campaigners that propagate this stuff are totally self-absorbed. They should stop worrying about pronouns, hairstyles and skin colour and set about excavating their heads from their own backsides. Let me be clear, I couldn't be more pro-trans and have close friends that have been on that important and joyous journey. It's not a life choice to be a trans woman or a trans man. It's who you are. And you must be acknowledged and respected and loved for the gender by which you identify. But this hardcore ideological rump of extremists are trying to change the world and shape reality to their own vision. Getting respected teachers and academics sacked, shutting down debate, forcing boys to go to school in skirts, and telling 5-year-olds in Scotland that they could be one of 50 genders, well, that's just the start. What begins as a comedy with this rather ridiculous video you've just watched ends in tragedy, as women in particular face an egregious assault on their rights and their identity. Being a strong feminist, which I sincerely hope I am, doesn't sit with giving in to these malicious and misguided bullies. Anyone pushing this agenda, he, she, they or it, must not prevail. Gender pronouns, describing your haircut, obsessing over the colour of your skin, that's just the beginning. Let me tell you, if this madness goes on unchecked, it doesn't end well. This is Mark Dolan, British man with a dodgy haircut, and I'm told nice eyes for GB News.